You were raised to believe that obedience brings reward, that if you're kind, respectful, and humble, the world will make space for you. You followed the rules. You played the nice guy. And yet, where did it get you? People ignored your kindness. They took your silence as weakness. They interpreted your empathy as vulnerability. You tried to be understood. But what you didn't realize, until now, is that no one's listening. They were never listening. They were calculating. Welcome to the real world, where good men are broken, not celebrated, where honesty is ammunition in the hands of the manipulative, where your virtues are picked apart and used against you. And so, something inside you begins to break, but not in defeat, in awakening. This isn't collapse. This is evolution. You are not dying. You are becoming something else, not softer, not louder, not more agreeable, colder, sharper, untouchable. This is the moment where a man stops asking for permission. This is the death of the obedient version of you. No more chasing applause, no more craving love, no more needing to be seen, because now you don't want to be seen. You want to be felt, not as a man, but as a force. This is not motivation. This is transformation. This is God mode. Let's be clear. Before you become powerful, you must destroy the part of you that needs anything from the world. Approval is leverage. And when you need it, they own you. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He watched kings fall, not because they were weak, but because they wanted to be loved, to be admired, to be adored. And the moment you want admiration, you hand your enemies the blueprint to control you. But you're done handing out that blueprint. You're done broadcasting your desires. You're done being readable. Invisibility is your new weapon. Not physical invisibility, psychological invisibility. You no longer act to be noticed. You act for results. You act for control, quietly, strategically, without recognition. You move like a ghost, speak like a strategist, watch like a predator. You detach from image, detach from praise, detach from needing to be understood. Because here's the truth. The world doesn't reward virtue. It rewards leverage. And real leverage is built in silence. So while they chase attention, you chase positioning. While they shout their opinions, you collect information. While they brag about their moves, you hide yours until they land like a guillotine. You don't need to be feared. Not yet. First, you must become unreadable. Unpredictability is your opening weapon. The moment they think they know how you'll react, you disappoint them. You don't smile when they expect it. You don't reply when they want a reaction. You don't explain when they demand answers. You watch, you study, and then you strike. But your strike isn't always a punch. It might be a decision. It might be your silence. It might be your absence. And that's what makes it terrifying. Because the more invisible your intentions, the more dangerous your presence becomes. They won't know what you're thinking. They won't know what you want. They won't know when you're going to move. And so, they hesitate. They whisper. They adjust. That is control. You don't argue for power. You build it. You condition them. Until your silence speaks louder than their words, until your calm presence triggers anxiety, until just the mention of your name makes them sit straighter. You are no longer a person in their mind. You are a presence, a calculation, a pressure. They don't know why they respect you, but they do. They don't know why they're nervous around you, but they are. They don't know how to win against you, because you're not even playing the same game. You're not chasing dominance. You've become dominance. Let this be clear. Real power is never performed. It is engineered. Power built through performance is weak, because the audience can turn on you. The crowd can boo. The people can stop clapping. But power built through mystery? Power built through fear? Power built through controlled silence? That power is permanent. It doesn't require attention. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't need anything, because it operates above the system. That is the first lesson of God mode, and it is only the beginning. In next part, we'll go deeper. We'll show you how to weaponize fear. Not with anger, not with threats, but with pure psychological design. You're not here to play fair. You're here to play above. Stay cold. Stay unreadable. Stay calculating. You walk into the room. You don't say a word. But the temperature drops. They shift in their seats. They smile awkwardly. They try to read your face. But they can't. That's not an accident. That's design. Because by now, you've stopped playing with volume. You've started playing with nervous systems. This is the language of power Machiavelli understood long before science caught up. The goal is not to be loved. The goal is not even to be feared in the traditional sense. The goal is to be felt as a threat, even when you're smiling, even when you're silent, even when you say nothing at all. You don't control people by shouting. You control people by making their bodies hesitate when they see you. This is not brutality. It's biology, and you will now learn how to master it. Lesson 1. Fear is the purest currency of power. Why? Because fear doesn't lie. It doesn't care about opinions. It doesn't fluctuate with popularity. It cuts deeper than love, louder than respect, and longer than admiration. Love invites closeness. Fear creates caution. Love makes them familiar. Fear makes them study your silence. Love asks, "Can I get away with this?" Fear asks, "What will happen if I try?" That's the shift. You stop caring about how they feel about you. You care what their nervous system does when they think of you. You want your name to feel like pressure, your gaze to feel like interrogation, your presence to feel like judgment. The moment they sense you're watching, they should recalibrate, not because you told them to, but because they've learned the hard way. Lesson 2. Unpredictability is a weapon. Most people are robots. They're conditioned, predictable. Say something nice, they smile. Criticize them, they argue. Disrespect them, they explode. Predictability is vulnerability. But you will now train them through unpredictability. You smile only when it's calculated. You speak rarely, but when you do, it shifts the entire mood. You don't react when provoked. You observe. And that silence, that delay, that lack of response, it builds paranoia. Let them squirm. Let them guess. Let them project fears into your silence. Because the truth is, they will obey the version of you they invent in their minds. A man who explains himself is manageable. A man who leaves people wondering is dangerous. So be dangerous. Never let them finish the story. You give them incomplete pages and let their fear fill in the blanks. Lesson 3. Be disproportionate, but rarely. If you're always calm, they relax. If you're always kind, they expect it. But what happens when you're 95% composed and then one time, you show them what happens when you're crossed? You don't rage. You don't beg. You don't fight. You remove. A denied opportunity. A conversation that never happens. A door that closes and never reopens. You exile them quietly. That moment, when they realize they've been erased, when they feel your absence instead of your reaction, that rewires them. They'll never cross you again. Not because of what you did, but because of what they now imagine you could do. One cold consequence is louder than 100 warnings. You become unpredictable, unforgiving, and above all, unreachable. Lesson 4. Weaponize absence. Most people chase attention. They equate visibility with power. But you vanish. Why? Because absence creates tension, and tension breeds fear. They expect you at the meeting, you don't show. They want an answer, you delay. They disrespect you, you don't argue, you disappear. And in that absence, you become larger than life. They start to overthink. They replay every word. They wonder what they did wrong. This is power. Because while they chase your attention, you're already 3 moves ahead. Power doesn't need presence. It needs mystery. Remember, people feel more controlled by what they don't understand than by what they do. Lesson 5. Never explain. Never defend. Justifying is submitting. When you explain your reasoning, you give the illusion that their opinion matters. It doesn't. Your silence must be the answer. Your decisions must speak for themselves. Let them guess your motives. Let them speculate. Let them gossip. You remain composed. And in their confusion, fear takes root. This is the art of psychological control. You don't scream for power. You don't demand it. You don't even ask for it. You design it into the environment, into their nervous systems, into the way they look at you. You aren't a man anymore. You are a presence, a code they can't crack, a force they can't challenge. That's what God mode looks like. In next part, we'll go even deeper, into the construction of a persona so untouchable, so unreadable, that no lie, no attack, no exposure can ever destroy it. You won't just build fear, you'll build legend. Now, stay invisible, stay cold, stay felt. They can't cancel what they can't reach. They can't destroy what they can't understand. And they can't kill what's already become myth. Welcome to the construction of your untouchable persona. This is where power stops being performance and becomes architecture. In this part, you will learn how to become immune to slander, betrayal, manipulation, gossip, and even admiration. You won't just be respected, you'll be untouchable. This is not about image. This is about legend. Lesson 1. Kill the need to be understood. Most men live with a parasite, the need to explain themselves, to justify, to be seen as good. That's your first kill. You were not born to be understood. You were born to move silently through chaos, shaping it without ever asking permission. The moment you crave understanding, you kneel, because the desire to be understood is the need for emotional permission. But you give yourself permission. You do not ask, do they get me? You ask, do they fear misjudging me? If they never fully know you, they can never fully control you. Stay hidden, stay misinterpreted. Let their confusion be your shield. Lesson 2. Burn the masks. Build the myth you've played roles. The nice guy, the logical man, the rebel, the success story. Now burn them all. Because every persona you borrowed was a leash, an image designed to keep you digestible, safe, likable. But you're not here to be liked. You're here to be unforgettable. So what do you build instead? You build an aura, a force that doesn't seek validation, but emits precision, coldness, and depth. You become the kind of man who never talks about what he's going to do, and yet everything shifts when he enters the room. You don't laugh easily. You don't speak unless necessary. You say less and mean more. And in doing so, you become something rare, a man who is never fully seen, only felt, only feared, only remembered. Lesson 3. Collapse the ego. Keep the power. This may sound contradictory, but the most untouchable men are not full of themselves. They are empty. No ego, no insecurity, no overcompensation. They don't need to prove they're right. They don't need revenge. They don't even need the win to be public. Why? Because power is not something they show. It's something they carry. Your ego makes you reactive. Your emptiness makes you strategic, and when a man is free of ego, he becomes impossible to insult, impossible to bait, impossible to humiliate. Because he knows no one can touch what no longer needs protecting. So you will now become that man. Not defensive, not prideful, just precise, surgical, unshakable. Lesson 4. Be selectively seen. The myth of total dominance is a lie. Even gods hide. Zeus had Olympus. Batman has the cave. You must have places where you disappear completely. This isn't weakness, it's regeneration. The world must never feel like it fully has you. You appear when it matters, and vanish before you become predictable. Leave the crowd addicted to your presence by starving them of it. Never show all your moves. Never reveal your process. Never let them fully grasp what drives you. Your life becomes a mirage, visible enough to respect, elusive enough to chase, untouchable enough to never capture. Lesson 5. Make your name feel heavy. Your name must enter the room before you do, not because of fame, but because of consequence. When people hear your name, they should pause, breathe, rethink. Why? Because they know. There are consequences for disrespecting you, consequences for underestimating you, consequences for misreading your silence. You don't need to be cruel, you need to be inevitable. When they hear your name, it should feel like weight, not noise, not drama, just the quiet tension of someone who can rearrange fates without warning. Your name becomes a signature of inevitability, not loud, not constant, just unforgettable. You're no longer playing for dominance, you're playing for legend. And legends don't scream, they don't chase, they haunt. Next, you will learn how to wield silence, timing, and cold strategy to pull the strings from the shadows. You won't just influence, you will orchestrate. Stay ruthless, stay hidden. True power doesn't announce itself. It doesn't roar, it doesn't argue. It orchestrates, in silence. This part is not about being loud, seen, or praised. This is about learning how to pull strings so subtly the world moves without ever knowing you touched it. Machiavelli knew, the most dangerous man is not the king. It's the one who whispers to him. Today, that man is you. Lesson 1. Let silence speak louder than anger. Anger is loud, but silence is terrifying, because it forces others to confront themselves. You want revenge? Go silent. You want fear? Go cold. You want power? Withhold your reaction, because your restraint is more frightening than your fury. When you don't respond, they start spiraling. They wonder, is he planning something? Is he done with me? Is he above me now? You've just entered their mind, and once you're in, you own the space. You do not chase power. You let power chase them away from you. Lesson 2. Weaponize timing. Power is not just what you do, it's when you do it. Say something too soon, you look weak. Too late, you look reactive. But right on time, right when the silence is loudest, you become unstoppable. The strategic man doesn't move fast. He waits, he observes, he times the strike. Because when you delay the hit, you increase the impact. They expect you to react. You do nothing. They relax. Then, the strike. Always wait until they're most comfortable, because comfort is blindness, and your cold move in that moment, it becomes unforgettable. Lesson 3. Influence without ownership. Want real control? Never look like you're in charge. Stay behind the curtains. Be the idea, not the figurehead. Let others believe it was their decision. Your power will last longer. Why? Because humans don't resist their own thoughts. If they believe they chose it, they'll defend it with their life. This is Machiavellian mind control, not through command, but through suggestion, not through pressure, but placement. You drop the idea, you let it spread, you never claim it, and yet, Your fingerprints are everywhere. Lesson 4. Become the master of emotional distance. The moment you're emotionally involved, you've already lost the upper hand. Distance is power. Emotional detachment doesn't mean apathy. It means clarity. It means you can walk away from the deal, ignore the insult, detach from the outcome, because nothing owns you. People will test you. They'll provoke you. They'll try to drag you into their storm. You don't enter it. You observe it. You use it. A man in control of his emotions is a man in control of the game. They scream. You stay still. They react. You calculate. They crumble. You remain. Lesson 5. Be present, but unreachable power is atmospheric. It's not about doing more. It's about being felt without effort. You walk into a room, and people lower their voices, not because of what you said, but because of what you represent. This is the result of total inner alignment. Your energy is calm, unreadable, and cold. You don't ask for attention. Attention submits to you. Here's how you create it. Never overshare. Never complain. Never fill silence with noise. Never give explanations that weren't demanded. You become a man of intentional presence. You don't chase connection. You allow mystery. And in doing so, you activate an ancient instinct in others. Curiosity blended with fear. They want to know you, but fear discovering what you've already calculated. You are no longer a person. You are a presence. You've learned how to dominate without domination, how to lead from the shadows, how to haunt without ever appearing. This is the power that governments use, that CEOs respect, that kings fear. Power doesn't always build. Sometimes it erases. In this part, you learn the final tools of untouchable power, the art of being unpredictable, the strategy of disappearing, and the weapon that ends it all. Destruction with precision, not vengeance. Not chaos, but calculated elimination. This is not for the faint. This is God mode. Tool 1. Become unpredictable. Kill their mental map. People fear what they can't predict, and control dies when they can guess your next move. You want power? You become the storm that can't be tracked. One day, you're warm. The next, you vanish. Then you strike. Then silence. Let them never know what version of you they'll meet. In psychology, this is called intermittent reinforcement. It's addictive. It hijacks their brain. Why? Because it creates obsession. If they always know what you'll say, you become routine, predictable, safe. You become forgettable. But when they don't know if you'll praise, punish, or disappear, they become addicted to your approval. Because now your presence equals uncertainty, and uncertainty used correctly equals control. You've become a psychological maze, and they'll never escape it. Tool 2. Vanish strategically. The power of absence. Silence is powerful, but absence is divine. Most people chase more visibility, but you will chase mystery. Disappear from the places you're expected. Pull back when people demand answers. Let them feel the hole you leave behind. Because a man who is always present is never valued. But the one who walks away, who vanishes in his prime, who doesn't answer calls, texts, or accusations, that man becomes a legend. And legends don't get questioned. They get remembered. Absence increases respect. Distance magnifies value. And silence makes your enemies talk to themselves. You're not avoiding the game. You're forcing them to play without the rulebook, without you. Tool 3. Destruction without warning. There comes a time when silence ends, when absence becomes presence, and when unpredictability delivers one final message: elimination. But destruction must never be emotional. It must be clean, calculated, and cold. No shouting, no drama, just quiet consequences. You don't threaten, you don't explain, you don't react. You remove a connection, a resource, an opportunity, or even someone. This isn't cruelty. This is clarity. Sometimes, to secure the kingdom, you must burn the bridge while still smiling. Let them realize you were their protection. You were their power source. And now you're gone. That's not punishment. That's a message. Tool 4. Psychological sniping. Don't attack the body. Attack the mind. When you strike, go for identity. Go for what they believe about themselves. Because destroying their self-perception is more permanent than any insult. Compliment their weakness. Praise their failure as if it were strength. Let them wonder whether you're mocking them or being sincere. This is how you destabilize people without raising your voice. It's how you plant doubt that grows from within. And doubt eats faster than any sword. You never need to humiliate them publicly. Just say the one sentence they'll replay in their head for the next 10 years. That's power. And it's silent. Tool 5. End without closure. They want an ending. You deny it. They want the last word. You give them nothing. Because when there's no closure, there's no peace. This is your final weapon. Not revenge, not explanation. Just disappearance. Let them chase your ghost. Let them imagine what you could say. Let them replay the last moment, over and over and over again. You didn't destroy them. They did it themselves. You're already building your next empire. This is the end of the visible journey. But your invisible empire has only begun. In next part, we enter the final transformation, becoming the untouchable force, where every lesson you've learned becomes your permanent state. It's not just power, it's who you are now. You've come far, through masks, silence, absence, dominance, strategy, and elimination. Now the final transformation begins. This is not motivation. This is the moment you leave behind the world of weakness forever. This is God mode, not because you play God, but because you no longer play their game. Phase 1. Detachment from validation. At the heart of every powerful man is one thing. He needs nothing from anyone. You don't need applause. You don't need to be understood. You don't need to be liked. You don't even need to be loved. Why? Because the moment you need something from others, they own you. Power begins with emotional detachment. Not numbness, not coldness, but clarity. When someone insults you, you don't react. When someone praises you, you don't attach. When someone betrays you, you walk without a single word. Because when you are free from the emotional hooks of the world, you become the one who pulls the strings. This is God mode. You see everything. You control yourself, and they are still trying to figure you out. Phase 2. Rule through energy, not effort. Weak men use force. They try hard. They chase. They over-explain. They defend themselves. But you command through presence alone. You walk in and people shift. You speak less, but every word lands. You pause and the room adjusts. This is energy-based dominance. It's built through emotional stillness, ruthless boundaries, strategic silence, deep self-respect. People feel your presence before you say a word. Because it's not what you say. It's what you've become. A weaponized presence. Still, calm, undeniable. They sense your power and obey, without understanding why. Phase 3. Master the art of unreadability. Once you become predictable, they can manipulate you, so you eliminate the map. You become unreadable. Emotionally, tactically, energetically. No one knows. What you truly feel, what you truly want, what you'll do next. And that's exactly how you hold the throne. You become a mirror. People project onto you what they want to see, and you let them, until the time is right to reveal the truth. You are not the character they imagined. You are the consequence they never planned for. Phase 4. Transcend morality. Embrace strategy. The average man asks, "Is this fair?" The powerful man asks, "Is this effective?" Not because he's evil, but because he understands that morality is often weaponized by the weak to chain the strong. You want justice? They'll use that against you. You want to be a good man? They'll twist that into compliance. But once you rise above the need to appear righteous, you start making moves that actually change the game. You become effective, not emotional, strategic, not sympathetic. You don't hurt people for fun, but you're no longer afraid to do what's necessary. That's the Machiavellian mind, not cruel, not kind, just calculating. Phase 5. Internal kingdom first. Most men build their power externally. Wealth, status, followers, applause. But all of that is fragile, because if you didn't build your inner kingdom, they can take it all away, and you'll collapse. God mode starts within. Your habits, your discipline, your clarity, your control. You rule yourself, your anger, your lust, your impulses. And because you rule yourself, no one can rule you. People don't obey you because you're loud. They obey because they feel that nothing shakes you. They feel the fortress behind your eyes, and they stop trying to conquer it. Phase 6. Operate without emotion. Use it. Don't live in it. Emotions are tools, not masters. You don't eliminate them. You use them. Anger becomes fuel. Fear becomes strategy. Sadness becomes depth. Joy becomes magnetism. But none of them control you. Because in God mode, you've trained yourself to act based on principle, not passion. You feel everything, but you choose what to express, when to express it, and if it serves your mission. That's power. Phase 7. Never be seen coming. God mode doesn't announce itself. You never tell people you're strong. You don't post threats. You don't explain your mindset. You just move, silently, ruthlessly, effectively. You become a presence that people talk about behind closed doors. Not because you brag, but because your impact does the speaking. You vanish from the battlefield, and somehow the entire war ends in your favor. Final words. The man who cannot be touched, you are no longer the person who entered this video. You've destroyed your need for validation. Learned to rule without effort. Mastered presence, unpredictability, silence. Chosen strategy over emotion. And built a fortress within yourself. You are now a man of consequence. A ruler of space. An architect of energy. You are no longer part of the game. You are the ones setting the rules. Let them wonder. Let them chase you. Let them try to decode your silence. They won't. They can't. Because you are no longer seen. This is God mode.